Here we go. Let's do it. I want to welcome you to In Your Court. This is the episode where I give you a presentation and you get to decide what you want to do next. So, the title of this is COVID Lessons for a Better Life. I'm going to show you the lessons I've learned, what made the impact on me regarding this pandemic reaction. And what we are doing right now is taking in everything that's been reported to us, what's been happening in your own neighborhoods, your towns, and within your own families. There's a lot of reacting going on, and there's a lot of emotional damage that's going on. But I want to focus on what we can learn, and I'm going to share with you the 5 lessons that I've learned, and they might resonate with you. You might find that they're relevant. But after I give this presentation, the ball is going to be in your court, because then you will also have the opportunity to decide how to take positive action for a better future. And what I'm talking about is better health, more confidence, and more meaning in your life. What kind of health do you want? What kind of confidence do you want? What kind of meaning do you want? And this whole COVID episode has awakened us. And I think a lot of people were caught off guard. This was freaky. And not only that, but a lot of people were coasting by saying, well, I skirted that one, but what am I going to do about the future? Does this change your outlook for the future? I hope not, because the lessons are very valuable, and I'm going to share them with you right now. And then the ball is in your court. So put the ball right down here. 5 lessons, and I'm going to give you 5 ideas that you can incorporate into your life right now. And then the ball's in your court. So first, lesson number 1. This was what I have realized. The hospital care for people who had this severe sickness, it was palliative. The care straight out was palliative. That means they kept people comfortable and they gave them just the basics, fluids and whatnot. Those who recovered healed themselves, whether or not they realized it. They had healing on their own. The hospitals had the worst of the worst, and the news focused on the worst of the worst, which also gave us pause and thinking that that was the mainstream. That's what everybody was going through. Unfortunately, that's not true, but it's sensational. It gets people worked up. The worst of the worst is not what I'm going for. I want to help people not be in that category. I want to help people in prevention mode. And that's why I'm sharing with you these realizations that I've come to. People with strong tissue resilience fared better. So there's just the physiological, biological explanation. Their resilience was better. And I like to help people figure out how to make their resilience better. People have become awakened to the fact that the chronic disease made things worse and just capitulated the problem. Hypertension, obesity, diabetes, and kidney disease were very serious and gave people a lot of side effects and problems with their recovery. That tells us something. That tells us that we kind of poo-pooed this and we just put everything under the rug and just let people tolerate their health risks. We can't do that. We can't do that. And that's a huge, huge wake-up call for everybody, including me, because I think I could have done a better job communicating the risks of letting a chronic disease continue. It's very tough. We've got a lot of maintenance drugs out there. The TV commercials are in your face all the time, and the drugs are supposed to help you feel better. I don't know if they help you get better, but I just don't see the problem getting better, as it's not solved, because now people were in the hospital suffering tremendously, and I think that goes back decades. If this is not a new problem, but the recent severe illness brought it to light. And the urgency isn't there, but today the urgency is, and that's one of my lessons. I need to show more urgency in how I speak to people, what I'm teaching people. There has to be that urgency. What can you do? Here's one pointer. What can you do? And here it is. Continually work on your tissue resilience with diet, supplementation, chiropractic, and sleep. Those 4 things are just they're the great sounding board, diving board to get you in there. Those 4 things are just baseline. They are going to give you the awesome head start that you need. Lesson number 2. We are really a sick nation, and there's excessive interference in our lifestyle, especially poisoning. And we've got to really get a handle on the poisoning aspect and learn how to detox from it, how to reduce it. Don't get exposed to these poisonings. We are last place in health in first world countries. That's embarrassing, totally. And with our technology and our health specialists, with all that, we're missing the big picture. That's not good. That's not right. And there's another sense of urgency here. What are we missing? What isn't working? Because all the technology in the world hasn't changed us for the better. We've got to get back to the idea that we have severe poisoning at the cellular level, and we got to get it out at the cellular level. What can you do? You educate yourself on the areas of your life where you can reduce the toxins in your diet, in your medicines, molds, things in the environment, etc., etc. Those are the things you can do. You have the power to do that. Educate yourself. Let's go on to step number 3, lesson number 3. And this really hit me in a way that makes it easier for me to explain to others. But stop waiting for a cure. I've known all my life there is no cure for anything. But now I see why. This really opened my eyes to seeing how complicated our physiology has become because of modern living. Disease is actually a culmination of multiple organ breakdown. That's it. Every part of your body has suffered. You may say, well, I have a heart problem. You don't just have a heart problem. You've got an all-over problem. And it starts at the brain. That's why I have the BFA protocol, Brain First Always, because the brain is the master system. Let's start at the top. But don't focus on just one part of your body. That's just going to slow you down and get you off track. There's never going to be a magic bullet that eradicates body-wide malfunction. We've got to change our focus to body-wide healing. It's not as hard as it sounds. It may sound complicated, but it's very meaningful and very rewarding. What can you do right now today? Here's what you can do. Educate yourself on the TIM causes of chronic systemic dysfunction. TIM, T-I-M, it's a mnemonic. The T stands for toxins, the I stands for inflammation, and the M stands for mitochondria. Educate yourself on what those things have, where their place is in your life, and health promotion or health attack. Of course, inflammation is one. Inflammation has good things, inflammation has bad things. So we got to get the balance here. But understand the TIM, T-I-M, and that'll help you get closer to health instead of focusing on a cure. Lesson number 4, I got to say that right. The lesson that really made an impact on me. Number 4, every body, B-O-D-Y, is different. And here's what I want to explain. You have to treat yourself as an individual, not a statistic. When we look at statistics, it's freak out time. And we're always looking at negative, negative, negative. That's so emotionally damaging to your brain and your nervous system. Don't call yourself a statistic. You're a person. Say your name out loud right now. Lisa, I am Lisa. I am not a statistic. What about you? Do not be afraid to give yourself what you really need to obtain better health. And you need time and you need attention. You've got to focus on this very, very well. And that sometimes means other things have to get pushed out of your life. You've got to clear your plate. And probably you have to clear your plate of things that are unhealthy. What can you do right now? Here's what you can do. You stick with a long-term healing plan. You've got to have long-term on your sights, not I'm going to address this for a month or two, but long-term. How about your entire life? That's not a bad thing. It's very rewarding and it's very meaningful. But you have to have a lifetime healing plan, no matter how much pressure you get from people who don't agree with you. And that's the hard part right there. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of information that contradicts. And you've got to make the decision to focus on the information that is going to work for you, that's true. And the other information, you have to let it slide by. Now let's talk about lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 from this whole severe illness scenario that has made an impact on me and my thinking. But number 5 is you'd better re-embrace nature or you will no longer exist. Now that sounds kind of deep and weird and strange, but here's how I'm looking at it. Now that our schedules have changed, like most everything's come to a halt. Our schedules changed dramatically and our life slowed down. Now we have to admit our busyness has kept us indoors way too much, and our busyness has kept us away from important parts of our healing lifestyle. We've put a lot on the back burner. There's good busyness and there's bad busyness, but now that everything was shut down, the realization is there that there's too much going on, and part of it is keeping us indoors. We're not out in nature. We can't lose touch with the natural world that gives us life. That might sound philosophical and really deep, but it's important. What can you do right now? Here's what you can do. You get out in the fresh air, you get in the sun, you get in the dirt, and you enjoy the trees. You've got to balance your work and your play. And our society is overworked. Even our volunteering is overworked. Our children are pressured into doing so much that distracts us from what brings us health, what gives us health. We can't overlook that. We've just got to get back in touch and really put the balance back in. That's the whole point. We've got to get the balance back in. Those are my 5 lessons from this severe sickness scenario, the pandemic that we've reacted to in such an extreme way that we are emotionally damaged, we are financially damaged, but a lot of us are concerned about our future health. What do we need to do? And that is, 1, to get educated. So I gave you the 5 tips, the 5 pointers of what you can do right now to get yourself pointed in the right direction. And before I end this In Your Court episode, I want to ask you these self-assessment questions to help you focus a little bit more on what direction you want to go into. So take some notes. I'm going to speak slowly and give a little pause in between and see where you go. But here's a question. If you have a health concern or a life stress, how is your life being limited? Or how has this stress or this issue limited your life? Here's the next question. If your problem or concern is a distraction or a preoccupation, what have you given up because of it? What pleasures have you set aside? Write it down. The next question. Are you feeling left behind in some way? Describe it. Left behind can mean something different for each person. Really individualize it. If you're left behind, you know, because you feel it right here in your heart. Where are you being left behind? How are you being left behind in some way? Describe it, write it down. Here's the next question. Who is missing out on your time and your talents because you're not available to them? Because you've got this preoccupation, this concern, this stress in your life right now. Who is missing out on your time and your talents? Another question. What subtle lessons are your children picking up by their observations of you? What are the subtle lessons that they may be internalizing that's going to become part of their functioning as adults? What subtle lessons are they picking up from you? You don't have to speak it or teach it, but they're observing it. Write it down. Do your children, next question, do your children have knowledge and confidence in their own healing gifts, their self-healing abilities? Do they have that knowledge? Do they have that confidence? Another question. Do you need to learn how to be proficient in your healing gifts so that your children will also follow suit? Do you need to learn how to be proficient in your own healing gifts? I missed out on that lesson. I don't know where I was, but I totally missed out on it. And at my age right now, I look back and realize all the things I've done to give myself better healing opportunities. I wasted a lot of time. I wasted decades. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different video. You might find it in another In Your Court episode, but so much wasted time. And that's kind of irritating. That makes me angry. I don't want other people to turn around and say, boy, did I waste a lot of my time because I didn't know about my own healing gifts and I didn't know how to stimulate and promote and really engage with my own healing gifts. Write it all down. Write it all down. Re-listen to this part of the video if you want to review the questions, because this is important, self-introspection. This is what starts you on that diving board and gets you moving forward to something that's new, exciting, rewarding, and meaningful. So if these questions stir up your emotions, I think you're ready for, and I'm not going to say it, no, maybe I will, the new normal. I hate that terminology. How about just the new and improved you and a better future? Learning from what we've gone through in these last couple of months. I want you to have a positive future, and I want you to be that positive ripple effect in your community. So the last thing I'm going to offer here is, if these questions are very intriguing to you, if your own answers are intriguing to you, and you want to get started on a new and improved you so you can be that ripple effect in your community, that positive ripple effect in your community, give me a phone call, because I am offering a 20-minute goal determination session to help you point yourself in the right direction. So there's 20 minutes, we can chat, and there's no pressure for anything other than that. And I just want to hear how people are doing as they move forward into the future, because we're moving forward whether we want to or not. But this is your chance. The ball is in your court, and I can't wait to see how you prosper. Thanks for watching.